The sound
Hey,
of
look at
laughter hit
her!
Amara like
Leave
a
me
punch the
alone!
moment she stepped into the schoolyard. Shoes scuffed against the concrete, sneakers squeaking, backpacks swinging, and a chorus of whispers followed her every step. Look at her shoes. Did you see that bag? Is that cardboard? She's so quiet. It's creepy. Amara kept walking, head down, trying to make herself invisible. Her stomach churned, and her fingers clenched the straps of her worn bag tighter. She didn't understand why anyone had to be so cruel on her first day. But she'd learned long ago that it was better to remain silent than to give anyone the satisfaction of a reaction. The first bell rang, echoing through the hallways, and she moved quickly to her classroom. Some kids snickered as she passed, nudging each other, whispering things like, "She's so poor, can you believe it?" And "Bet she has to wash dishes at home. That's why she's so quiet." Amara's chest tightened, but she didn't stop. Silence had been her shield for years. It had kept her safe. She slid into the back corner of the classroom, trying to make herself as small as possible. The teacher barely glanced at her, handing out assignments, while the class buzzed with chatter. Amara opened her notebook and started writing, forcing herself to focus on the lines of the page instead of the mocking eyes around her. At lunch, she went to the usual corner under a tree, pulling out a small bottle of water from her bag. Other students crowded the canteen, trading snacks and laughing over shared secrets, but Amara remained alone. A girl with bright pink hair and a piercing gaze approached. "Why do you always sit here?" she asked, smirking. "Nobody likes being around you. Don't you have friends?" Amara shook her head slightly, her voice barely audible. "I just want to eat." The girl laughed, loud enough for others to hear. "You don't even eat proper food, do you? You're so pathetic." A boy nearby chimed in, laughing. "I think she eats dirt at home. That's why she's always so pale." Amara's hand shook around the bottle. She swallowed hard, took a sip, and said nothing. Silence had always been her defense. But every word they threw at her, every laugh, cut deeper than any fist ever could. Days passed and the bullying escalated. Her notebooks disappeared, her uniform was mocked for being out of style, and videos of her walking down the hall circulated online with cruel captions. "When you're allergic to talking," one post read, and it spread through the school like wildfire. She didn't fight back. She didn't even cry. She had no energy to argue, and she didn't want pity. What no one knew was that every afternoon, after the final bell rang, Amara didn't head home to relax or rest. She changed into worn clothes and walked to a small roadside restaurant, where she worked 6 hours every evening. Scrubbing dishes, carrying trays, cleaning tables, all with a polite smile that masked exhaustion. After work, she rushed home to check on her mother, who had been battling illness for months. Hospital bills piled up, medicine was expensive, and there was no father to help. Amara, just 16, was the only one keeping the family afloat. One afternoon in history class, her eyes blurred. The words on the blackboard twisted and doubled, and her head felt unbearably heavy. A voice in the back of her mind screamed, "You have to stay awake. You can't let them see weakness." But her body ignored her. The class continued laughing and whispering about her silently, unaware of the internal battle raging inside. A pencil rolled off her desk, clattering to the floor. She bent to pick it up, and the world went white. When she opened her eyes, she was on the floor. The teacher was kneeling beside her, panic written across his face. Students froze, their laughter dying instantly. Someone shouted for help. Another called an ambulance. Her bag fell, spilling its contents, hospital receipts, prescription papers, a crumpled envelope labeled "Payment Due, Final Notice." The room went completely silent. No one moved, no one whispered. The truth was finally visible for everyone to see. Weeks earlier, when she had stayed behind to wash dishes instead of sleeping, no one imagined the strength it took to work those long hours and still come to school the next day. Her classmates had mocked her for her silence, her worn shoes, her empty lunchbox. Now, the reality hit them. She wasn't lazy or weak. She was carrying a weight they couldn't even imagine. At the hospital, While machines beeped steadily and nurses bustled quietly around her, the classmates trickled in, each with a mixture of guilt and disbelief on their faces. They murmured apologies. Some couldn't even meet her eyes. I didn't know, a girl whispered, her voice breaking. I thought you were just weird. Amara's mother squeezed her hand weakly. She's been working so hard, she hasn't even had time to rest. The students listened silently, finally understanding the courage behind Amara's quiet demeanor. The girl they had mocked was more resilient than anyone they knew. She had endured ridicule, humiliation, and exhaustion, yet she never broke. A boy from her class stepped forward, holding out an envelope. We collected this. For your mom to help pay the bills. I'm sorry for everything. Amara looked up slowly, eyes tired but steady. She didn't say much. Words had never been her weapon, but a small, almost imperceptible nod conveyed gratitude. The whispers of the school changed. The videos that had circulated to humiliate her were deleted, replaced by new stories of her courage. Students who once mocked her began to volunteer, helping her mother with hospital visits and raising funds to cover expenses. The quiet girl had become a symbol, not of weakness, but of extraordinary strength. And though Amara didn't suddenly change who she was, the school did. No one dared mock her again. No one questioned her resilience. She remained quiet, still often alone, but she was no longer invisible. Her silence, once a shield, had become a testament to the strength of survival. If you're enjoying this story and want to hear part 2, where we see how Amara's life continues to change and how the bullies face consequences later, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. You don't want to miss the next part. Trust me, it's even more emotional.